Every day, every day. That's another one. It's a busy day, lots of jobs. Big stuff going on here. Thank you. Executive order. So actually, my name isn't Donald. My name's Nick Grayson, and I work for Birmingham City Council as the Climate Change and Sustainability Manager. But actually, I'm also a Senior Research Fellow at the University of Birmingham, working on the Livable Cities project. And if I could have my way, I would ask for an executive order that actually goes to every city leader in the world, asking them, have they really understood the value of nature in their cities? Now that might seem like an odd question, but through this Livable Cities project, we've actually got to a point, we've arrived at a point of a new scientific understanding of the value of nature in cities. So let me explain how we've done that. In the year 2000, the United Nations commissioned a report from world scientists to look for the very first time at humanity's dependency on the natural world and the planet. And for 5 years, they worked on creating a new framework of scientific understanding that actually put a value of our dependency as a human race on the natural world. And obviously we can all think of things like food, fresh water, clean air, all these things that we're dependent directly on nature. But actually it does other things as well. It helps clear pollution, mitigates against climate change, provides space for our recreation and our well-being, spiritual connection and restoration and well-being, plus the fact that it's actually the source of all our drugs and healthcare. So actually, when you start putting up a balance sheet of what nature does for us, it's huge. And so what the term they came up with was a Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, this idea that actually nature provides a whole series of services. And ourselves, it's very easy to think that we're actually detached, separate from nature. But did you know that actually there's only 10% of your cells in your body that are human cells? Actually, 90% of what you see is not human because we are an ecosystem. And if you had 10% share in a company, would you say that you own that company? So it's a really quite interesting position that we find ourselves. And so we've taken this framework, and in the UK was the first country in the world to actually look at how that framework could work for the landmass of the UK. And in Birmingham, we've become the first city in the world to analyse our dependence on nature through that same framework and matched it against our population as to who and where in the city that natural environment is actually supporting people's needs and requirements. And we've stitched that together into something we've called a multiple challenge map. And that's really important because the whole emphasis of the future is around growth. The city has got to absorb another 150,000 people and find space for 51,000 new houses in the next 20 or 30 years. And so how do we do that in a sustainable way? How can we match it with that value of nature? So we're the first city of the world to do this, and it provides a whole new understanding. And suddenly you find that actually the value of that natural environment in cities is far more valuable than you ever thought likely. And so what exists in cities at the moment is what I've termed a green horizon, literally a grass ceiling. So above which the value of nature never gets seen by the leaders and the people in charge because they don't really understand those hidden values. And through the work that we're doing, we're now working with developers, with a whole range of other people around extracting those multiple benefits, those multiple values, and building them into our growth agenda in terms of how we take the city forward in the next 25 years so that we take full account of that natural environment and the benefits you get from the natural environment. So what's really important in terms of cities is they're facing all these wicked problems of how to solve these wicked problems. And for too long, we've left out the massive contribution that actually the natural world can serve in helping solve those problems. And so that's the trick that we're trying to achieve in this new area of research. And so it gets you to the point in your decision making where you suddenly realize that actually you could put nature at the heart of your decision making, which is somewhere a million miles from where it is at the moment. But actually, in terms of predicting the future and balancing out our needs on the planet, if every city were to do that, you'd be into complete transition of the way in which we live. Thank you.